Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. I'm back with the 67th coffee stream, and with me again is the wonderful Skep Talk. Hello, Skep Talk.
Good morning, Blind Press. Thanks, sir. Thanks for welcoming me back after my unscheduled absence yesterday.
It's all good.
I have got a new addition to the family, specifically a puppy, and the puppy is still figuring out day and night, and seems to feel the need to stay up at various times during the night for 2 or 3 hours at a stretch. And yesterday morning, I got up, I was doing my normal stuff, and I sat down in my chair and fell asleep with the puppy on my lap, who also fell asleep, having been up, both of us having been up all night. And when I woke up, I had forgotten about the stream completely. Anyway, I'm terribly sorry to our listeners and to you, Blind, for not being there yesterday. We'll try and make up for it today with twice the fun, twice the excitement. And we certainly have a lot to talk about, both in the news and some other things that are going on. I'd like to say hi to chat this morning. How are you guys doing? I hope you're having a good day, and that all is well in your world. That Christmas is not too stressful. There was an old comic called Pogo. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. And one of their comic strips that was very, very popular year after year, they used to reprint it year after year. It was Christmas is at our throats again. Showing this completely flustered guy trying to do all the shopping. And
it's so true, though.
Arms full of gifts and everything else. And
because you hope that you've gotten the right thing, right? For people.
And you never do, of course.
And you never do. And then you've got to go and deal with the family. And there's always that one person that you hate.
Yeah.
And they're always there.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're always critical.
Yep.
Cutting and so forth. You cannot choose your family.
No.
I'm not. People who know me know that I am. I was close with my mom and dad. I am not close to my sisters. They both despise me. They despise every footstep I take, and wish I had never been born.
Well, that's unfortunate.
They are both caring, nurturing liberals, deeply, deeply liberal. One of them freely admits that she thinks, communism is ideal. And,
oh dear.
Yeah, and says if people just would work together, communism would be fine.
All right, then.
If you just forego self-interest and,
And what were her grades in history by chance?
She actually was a B to C student most of her way through university, and she majored in education, has a master's degree in education.
Of course she does.
She's educating the kids, and she was deep in the education Borg in Boston, Massachusetts. She's one of the most liberal people alive. I mean, there are liberals and there are liberals. This is an amazingly hard over person, and she is immune to facts. Absolutely immune to facts. She fundamentally hates human beings. I mean, that really is what you learn about people who are hard over on the left, and frequently that way on the right too, by the way, is that when it comes down to it, they end up hating human beings, and they have these violently controlling prescriptions to make human beings into something they would hate less or like a little bit more. And I think that's what's behind most of these government control types, both on the right and the left. That's one of the reasons I tend to pick my stuff out of the center, is that, solutions typically are not easy. Typically, they're not perfect. And if somebody says, that Obamacare was a perfect solution, no, it was not a perfect solution. It wasn't even a good solution.
Yeah.
And but there are people who will say, no, there was absolutely no problem with Obamacare. The fact that I in Texas would have to be paying, over $1,000 a month in premiums. Okay?
Jesus Christ.
Well, wait a minute. It gets better. For major medical, in other words, for common go to the doctor expenses, I had a sit down, wait for it, $9,000 annual deductible. Now, I just want you to think about that for a moment. $9,000 annual deductible is what it calculated out to be.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Just for regular.
So basically, you are. It essentially was catastrophic insurance. Basically, it's catastrophic insurance. And if you were in the hospital, the annual deductible, I think, was $15,000 or $16,000, and your major medical deductible did not go toward satisfying that. So you could conceivably have a $25,000 out-of-pocket expense, have been paying $12,000 in premium, and get no compensation for that. So you'd be out $37,000, never having received a dime from Obamacare.
And how do people think that this is okay?
Well, I put that to my sister, and she said, "Well, that's not true. That policy doesn't even exist." And I said, "Well, here was their offer letter to me. I mean, there it is in black and white." And she said, "That's something you typed up."
I'm sorry,
okay.
really?
Okay. That's conversation over. We're done.
That's something you typed up.
Yeah.
So you typed it up. You forged their letterhead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
How does that? Oh my God.
Yeah. Forged the guy's signature. The whole thing.
For what? To have an argument with her?
Right, because merits that much consideration.
Yeah, no shit, right? Like, holy crap. And this is like, I'm having kind of the opposite.
Yeah. She's educating your children, by the way. Just so everybody knows.
I'm sorry, what?
She's educating your children. She is way, she was not only a special ed teacher, handling the disciplinary problem kids, but she was also a regular teacher for a long time. So you could have had her for the, fourth grade. Yep.
I'm having kind of the opposite problem where, well, it's kind of a similar problem actually. My mother is very, very on the left, very left.
Yes.
And my little sister she's 17. So she's trying to figure out, what's going on in the world. And my mom will not let her come over here without my mom. Like, my mom won't let her come over and spend the night. She won't let her, like, every time she and I plan for her to come, even for like a day visit, miraculously, my mom's got something for my sister to do.
Yeah.
All of a sudden. And it's because I know, like, she hasn't said it, but I know that it's because she doesn't want me to, put ideas in her head, right? She doesn't want me to, and the only ideas ideas I would put into her head is think for yourself.
Yeah. That's unacceptable. Why think for yourself when there's someone standing there ready to do it for you?
Well, they have gotten into knockout fights because my mother wants, okay, Ninja, stop jumping on my computer. Seriously. 20-pound cat jumping on my laptop.
Yeah, but Mom, anyway, it's what I do.
Yeah, so my mom wants my sister to go to the local university so that she doesn't have to move out when next year.
Yeah, that's an influence thing.
My sister wants to get as far away from her as possible.
And she should. Sounds like she should.
Yeah.
Be good for her,
Yeah, I think so too.
Mom is not going to be there forever to think for her little girl. Little girl needs to go out, make some mistakes, do some things, and get some real life experience.
I would agree with that.
That's the only thing that gives you the capability of going forward into, there are times when life gets hard, and anytime you have a chance to go out and into something like going to university, which is basically a soft cut at real life,
Hmm.
uh, you should do that and begin to get some of those experiences that will prepare you for the times when life gets crummy
Yep.
and things are harder to deal with. You have some lessons learned, a little bit of thicker hide, and a little bit of be a little bit more philosophical about hard things. And then sometimes life can be very hard that way.
It
But
can.
there are people on the right and people on the left, both. You find them everywhere who want
Yep.
to control your thought. They
Absolutely.
want to control what you think. They know what's best for you. They've got all the stuff, solved out, and that actually kind of dovetails into what I had been talking with you a little bit with some of the stuff that's been going on in my family. Where the big brouhaha right now is that I don't go to the church that everybody else in my family goes to, this Baptist church, because for a variety of reasons. First of all, I don't think that their formulation on who God is and what God is fits my own formulation.
Right.
It's not how I think the universe got started. They literally believe that the universe is 6,000 years old.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, and that anything to the contrary, that they don't know why, but it's wrong, and they don't care why it's wrong. Why should I care why it's wrong? It's just wrong. It's wrong because it doesn't say so in the Bible. Okay, alrighty then. And everybody was killed in the flood. Noah's flood 6,000 years ago, even though genetic evidence suggests nothing of the sort.
Right.
And genetic dispersion shows that there was no general extinction event that backed it down to basically three couples, repopulating the earth. That
Would be impossible in the first place.
it doesn't really seem to have happened.
You can't genetically repopulate the earth with three pairs
Yes,
of people.
you can't get white people separated from black people, separated from Asian people in that period of time.
No.
You can't do that. And so, but their point is, well, God can do everything, and God's magic. God has magical powers. God can do anything, and it just gets more and more absurd. You start talking to them about electrons and neutrons. I don't want to hear about no neutrons.
Mm.
Okay, says the thing that's made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons.
Yes.
And you sit there staring at them, and you realize that there's no further communication is going to be profitable. And so they're kind of like, open the pod bay doors, Hal. And I'm like, I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave.
Yeah.
This conversation has no point anymore. Yeah, that was Hal's point with Dave in 2001: A Space Odyssey, and that's my point with them. There's no point in having a further conversation. So I'm not going to waste 6 hours on Sunday and 3 hours on Wednesday a week. Okay, 8% of my week, basically.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. I'm not going to waste that much time going to something I can't support. Oh, and here was the other thing, and this I really object, because he's teaching children this, that this life is not important. And he reads out of the book of Jude. It's a very short book, right in front of Revelation, right at the end of the Bible.
Right.
And it says something to the effect of, turn away from things of this world and turn toward your eternal reward in heaven. And so he uses that to say, don't participate much in this life. Do the minimum. Go to work, earn enough money for your family to feed and house your family, and spend the rest of your time in, as he says, in the prayer closet. In the
Wow.
prayer closet. In prayer. Okay.
Jesus.
Now, there's something to be, that too. There's something to be said for contemplative meditation and so forth. And you can, certainly prayer fulfills some of the requirement for that. But this is prayer in begging Christ to forgive you for an evil sin that you weren't even around when it was committed. You're just sinful because Adam sinned. That's another big thing, is the original sin factor.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to accept. I mean, people aren't perfect. People do crummy things. Yes, absolutely. I understand this. And I don't think any person has ever been not guilty of doing crummy things.
I would agree.
But that doesn't mean that when a little innocent baby is born, because that baby has not heard the word of God, he is going to be tortured forever. That's another thing I have a problem with. This is the Hitler Santa Claus dichotomy of God, where if you do exactly what the preacher says and do exactly what his interpretation of what's in the Bible is supposed to be, then you get to go to Disneyland. But if you don't, then you go to this fiery torture chamber that's worse than Auschwitz. It's like just being, and it never stops, never ever stops. Think about that for a moment. How good would your mind be after 1 trillion years of torture? But let's not use that number. Let's use a really big number. How about a Google years? How about that? Jesus. How would your mind be after Google years of torture?
It would just shut off.
Well, yeah, it would not be the same mind. But that's not even the beginning of eternity. Let's use a really big number. Okay, you understand what factorial means. Like 5 factorial is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Let's say a Google factorial to the Google factorial's power.
Holy fuck.
That's a number that is so big, I promise you, that you can have absolutely no perspective that will support what the actual size of that number is. There's nothing to compare it to. Yeah. That number is larger than the numbers of cubic millimeters in the universe.
Yep.
It is larger than the number of neutrinos in the universe. And remember, 10,000 neutrinos pass through your body every second. Your body. 10,000 every second. Okay. There's lots of neutrinos in the universe. The universe is pretty much made up of neutrinos. So what does eternity mean? What does eternal pain? And you're being tortured for that period of time. Being tortured, and your flesh grows back after it's burned off. According to the tradition of the church. That all sounds like bullshit to me. I'm sorry, it just does. And and I essentially said that, and I explained to my wife, who is much more understanding than anybody else, and my stepdaughter, who is not understanding at all.
Oh dear.
About this. She said, "You just don't want to go to church," and I basically said, "Yeah."
Yes, you're right. I don't want to go to church.
She's furious.
I was trying to be nice and explain to you why I don't want to go to church. But if you want to just be stuck with, I just don't want to go, well then fine.
That's it.
I don't want to go.
That's it. I'm not going to listen to one more sermon telling me how evil children are and how they're going to burn in hell forever. Not one more time. No. Not one more time. I'm not going to waste one more. I value life. That's another thing, is the devaluation of this life is just, it's against everything I've worked for and strive for in my life. And I'm not doing that just to make some guy in his deluded congregation happy. Sorry, that's just where I am.
My grandfather, what he says is, because my grandfather was raised Catholic, but and so was my grandmother. My grandmother's French Canadian. So she was raised Catholic.
Of course.
They haven't gone to church in, I think the last time they went to church, barring a funeral or anything like that, was my youngest uncle's grade 8 confirmation, and he's 34 now.
Wow.
So they're not practicing.
Evidently not.
My grandfather, what he says is, I worship when I go fishing.
Well, yeah.
I worship when I go hunting.
When you see the great outdoors and see the beauty that, God put on this earth, and the amazing coincidence that results in sunrise every morning, it's an awesome thing. And but people will use that and say, well, see, that proves that there's God. Well, no, not really, not so much. It just proves that the earth is amazing, and life is amazing. And we don't really know a lot for sure. And for you to declare, no, it's this way, and then say a bunch of incredible crap that doesn't really make sense is, to me, that's kind of spitting in the face of any deity that actually would take the trouble to create us. So, I guess I'm going to be tortured in hell forever. A Googleplex to the Googleplex to the Googleplex years of nonstop torture because my pastor, my former pastor, is cross with me. So there you go. I'll be in hell with my friends.
Well, see, that's it. Everybody, because I've had a lot of run-ins with religious people because of my disability.
I can only imagine the people who just knew they could cure you.
Yeah, Pentecostals particularly.
Oh, of course, you don't have to be blind, If you had enough faith, you wouldn't be blind. I never know anybody with enough faith who's blind. Anybody who's blind don't have enough faith.
It was. I got completely duped by a couple of friends of mine in high school.
So-called friends.
Yeah, I quickly excommunicated them, to use a religious term, from my life afterwards.
Nicely put.
They were Spanish Pentecostal.
Oh yes.
So
a particularly unhinged part.
Yeah, they were Spanish Pentecostal, and I was in geography with them, and I was very friendly with them, and they knew I enjoyed the Spanish language and anything to do with Spanish, or Latin culture or Spain, any branch of Spanish culture.
Sure.
I find interesting. And these girls were from El Salvador in particular. And they were really cool. At first they let me, we would practice Spanish together. They would, let me speak rudimentary Spanish with them, and it was kind of fun. And eventually they're like, hey, would you like to come to our church with us and see how we worship?
Yeah.
And now I was raised, my mom's an atheist. My dad's an atheist. My dad was baptized, but he's an atheist. He's an educated atheist. He's read all the books, right? He still reads the Bible occasionally, just to go back, and because he'll even say the Bible's got some really cool stories.
Oh, it does. The Bible has lots of great stuff. I mean, the Bible is responsible for the basis of essentially English literature, most Western literature.
Yeah,
not just English.
I would agree with that.
Western English, French, and Spanish literature that influenced all the stuff that is, that is culturally the West.
Yep.
It's a huge, huge cultural icon, huge, tremendous influence. No, there's, the problem is not the Bible. The problem is what people do with the Bible.
Oh, Hawk Silk. No, I've never. Actually, that's not true. I have been told once that it was my fault that I was blind.
Really?
By
That it
a
was
Muslim by a Muslim kid, by the way.
Okay. And
yeah, he knew. Yeah. But these girls.
How old was he? I want to know how old.
Oh, he was like, at the time he was 9. We went to school. We went to the same school from K to 6. It was an inner city school. There were a lot of Somali refugees because it was in the 90s, right? We went. I went from 94 to 2000 was when I graduated grade 6.
Right.
So we had a lot of Somali kids.
Yep.
At our school, and he and his 5 brothers were actually known throughout the school in their classes for causing shit.
Yeah.
Not a one of them were nice.
Yeah.
Boys.
No, they were taught that you were inferior.
Yeah, not one of them got good grades. Not one of them cared to get good grades. Not one of them cared to
be good Muslims.
Yeah, not one of them cared to learn their ESL properly.
Yeah.
Any of that. But yeah, he told me it was my fault that I was blind.
Okay. All right.
But these girls, to get back to my other story, these girls, I went to, I did decide to go to their church. And I shouldn't have, because the day that I went, I was busy doing other stuff beforehand, and my cell phone had like 20 voicemails. Are you coming? Are you still coming? What? When do we pick you up? Are you actually just voicemail after? And I should have known. But I went.
You didn't have your alarm system installed at that time.
I did not, because I was only I was 14.
Yeah, because now it would be going.
Yeah. Now it would be like block.
Right.
Block.
Exactly.
I don't know what happened. She just disappeared off the face of the planet.
Exactly.
So I ended up going, and at first it was really cool because it was just a whole building full of people speaking Spanish. They had, they were all excited for me to go because this preacher was coming up from San Francisco. Yeah. And he was apparently a very famous guy. And we had, oh, look, your phone's ringing.
Yeah. Doubtless want to sell me a car warranty. I'm sorry about that.
That's all good. That happens to me sometimes on stream.
Just silence that before we go.
So it was really cool. He had a Spanish or an English translator, so it was really cool to listen to the Spanish words and listen to the English afterwards and be like, hey, I was right with that word. Oh, well, I was right with this too. That's what I was basically doing the whole time, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then it came time for him to walk among the congregation and get their stories and stuff.
Mm-hmm. He
comes right up to me.
I'm thinking this did not go well.
And I'm like, okay, why is he? And apparently they had told him about me. Because he walks up to me.
Shock.
He walks up to me and he goes, "You're blind, aren't you?" And I'm like, and I impressed him at first because I started answering him in because he was speaking to me in Spanish and he had the translator.
Yeah.
So the translator was translating for me, and then I was answering him in Spanish, and he was impressed.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he starts telling the story because I told him the story about how I went blind, and he told the congregation. And of course, for anyone who doesn't know how Pentecostals and Baptists work, the moaning starts, and the groaning, and the crying, like literal body racking sobs.
It's the passion.
from these people.
Yeah, it's the passion.
And he starts praying over me. Without asking.
Same if he didn't do that.
Without asking, by the way. He just starts praying over me.
Yeah.
And then he draws a cross on my forehead. And then he pours freaking like either holy water or oil, like sanctified oil or something in my eyes.
Yeah.
And he's like, God will bless you and he will heal your sight if you come up and get saved. Will you do that? And I'm like, no. No, I won't. I'm not unsaved. There's nothing wrong with me.
I'm not as crazy as you are.
And these girls, like he moved on to other people. And the two girls were starting to talk to me, why won't you go and get saved? It'll be like, it's amazing to be saved. Like feeling Jesus's love all the time is just amazing. And
you can be like us.
Yeah, exactly. And finally,
won't that be nice?
Eventually, I'm like, look, guys, I don't believe in God. I came here to like see how you guys worshipped, and it was interesting to me to see how you guys worshipped and to listen to your guys' music and like all that stuff. It was just kind of an experience for me. I don't believe in God. And then it started to ripple through the church.
She doesn't believe in God. She doesn't believe in God.
No prende Dios. She doesn't believe in God. She doesn't believe in God.
Yeah.
Through the church, it was the whole congregation just starts crowding around me.
Yeah.
Why don't you believe in God? Why don't you believe in God? That the devil made you blind. It wasn't because I'm like, why would God allow a baby to go blind?
Yeah.
That's what I asked them. I said, why would
El Diablo?
Yeah, and they said it was the devil that did it. He didn't want you to see God's creations. He didn't want you to see God's beautiful earth.
Well,
so
sure.
He made you blind so that you wouldn't believe in God.
Of course.
And I said, well, it worked.
That's how he is. That devil.
And then I said, I think I want to go home. You guys are making me really uncomfortable. I want to go home. And they start, and they're like, no, just stay a little longer. Just stay a little longer. Like, just think about it. Just think about it. And they wouldn't take me home. Eventually, I had to threaten. I'm like, either you drive me home, or I'm going to call my father and the police. Because you won't let me go.
Yep.
And then they took me home, and they were crying the whole way.
Yeah.
And all this. And I get
home. They were
home.
thinking about you suffering in eternal fire for a Googleplex to the Googleplex power factorial of years.
Yeah, they were. And
Except they don't understand what a Googleplex is, and they wouldn't understand a number higher than about 150. Anyway, I'm sorry. I've got no time for that bullshit.
Well, my dad was very disappointed in me because I didn't pull a Linda Blair when they put the oil in my eyes. He was like, what the hell's wrong with you? You should have flipped out on them and started speaking in tongues. And I'm like, yeah, I had to threaten them with the police for them to let me go home. Do you think that would have worked out for me?
Yeah, what you did, he's right though. You missed a great chance for performance art right there.
Yeah, he is right. To this day, I am a little bit sad I didn't do that.
Oh, that would have been awesome. The piglet is mine.
Keep away. The sow is mine. Fuck me.
Exactly. Stroke the piglet. Stroke the piglet. Oh man,
people are just crazy.
Yeah, it's to me. It all comes down to a fear of death. I mean, think about what life is. We're born. We become aware at a certain age. and we look around, we do things for a while, we get old, and then suddenly we stop. Our
Mm-hmm.
bodies stop moving, and we wonder, where did the personality, who was that person, go? What happened? When they stopped, when the neurons stopped firing, when the life left that body, what happens to the essence of that person? And it's natural to think, uh, because really, in a very real way, the uh, uh, the sum of uh, what constitutes a person is an example of the sum being greater than the just adding the parts together.
Yeah.
When you add all the parts, you add all the chemicals together that make a human being, you get something much more than a collection of chemicals with delusions of grandeur, as Ayn Rand put it.
True.
You get something that is amazing, remarkable, and capable of things great and vile.
Mm-hmm.
It amazes us, and then when they stop suddenly, and it happens to everybody, we want to know what happens. Now, as far as I can tell, probably what happens is in terms of your consciousness, it's like being. Do you remember the time before you were born? No. It's like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not. You are not. You're not thinking. You're not perceiving. There's no now and then. There's no history. There's no future. You're just not. But our minds, we don't want to accept that.
No, we don't.
But one thing we do like to do is the age old motivator of people is, how do I make you do what I want you to do? And a long time ago, people realized, if I claim to know what's beyond the grave, I can influence a significant number of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do believe that's what underlies all religion. I don't believe in a divine spark underlying this religion or that, one religion being better necessarily because it's truer than another. I think that if you need religion to get through, I understand. Mazel
Mm-hmm.
tov, enjoy. If you just like the tradition, I enjoy that. If you like believing in something that you can't see or verify, that's fine too.
Mm-hmm.
But don't force me to do that.
Agreed.
That's the problem that I have with the Muslims, is that you have to convert at the point of a sword, and or pay a jizya, a tax,
Mm-hmm.
which by their own hadith is a temporary thing until you will be put to the sword, and then you'll be
Yeah.
put to the sword again and say convert or die. So ultimately, it's convert or die with Islam, and converting to Islam is a non-starter. Who wants to live under Sharia?
Not me.
Yeah, female genital mutilation? I don't think so. I wonder how Linda Sarsour would feel after her session with the ladies who hold the girls down and do what they do in FGM. I don't even want to
Mm.
detail what that is. It's so awful. I can't imagine that. That is so horrifying. And 90% of Egyptian women go through that.
Yep.
I want you to think about that for a minute. Egypt is supposedly a modern country.
Supposedly.
90% of the Muslim women in that country go through FGM. Help me understand that.
I don't think I can.
Well, we have surgeons in the United States who they do it under anesthesia. That's supposedly better. I guess it is, in terms of it doesn't torture you as badly, but it's still
I'm sorry, what kind of Western trained doctor is agreeing to perform female genital mutilation?
Well, these are all Muslim doctors. They were all trained in the Far East,
Ah,
or in the Middle East. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. They come here. Some of them went to medical school. Actually, one of them went to University of Michigan Medical School. So I need to put that in there. Go Wolverines. Yeah, it's you know, uh, and how can liberal women who believe in women's liberation, how many of them do you think would like to go through that? That is a contradiction that I cannot understand. How can they want that for other women? How can they be blasé and say, well, it's their cultural tradition?
my mother's one of those people.
I don't
She
understand.
claims to be a feminist, but she's like, no, we have to respect the Muslim culture and the Muslim or the Islamic religion. And I'm like, why?
Right.
You would have been, I'm like, first of all, you would have been put to death twice
Right.
for A, leaving my father, B, leaving my stepfather.
Yeah. Not to mention atheist.
Not to mention atheist, not to mention your blind daughter would have zero rights.
The denial of Allah in according to Sharia law, denial of Allah is covered under their blasphemy law, and that means you get stoned to death. They will bury, if you, the women, they tend to do this too. The men, they just tend to hang. But the women, they bury up to their kind of to their shoulders, so the head is exposed, and then they throw rocks at it until the head is dead. This happens all the time. This happens almost every day to some woman somewhere in the Middle East, because it's in the Quran to do that. Whipping, stoning, throwing homosexuals off of buildings because of, a remark Muhammad made. Oh, they ought to throw them off the top building. Okay, that's canon.
Yes, sir.
That's canon. It's like fucking.
How shall we fuck off, oh Lord?
Exactly. So anyway, we've probably beat the subject into the ground, but I just wanted to get that out there that I've been having to deal with a whole bunch of heartburn. I hope you're happy with how much you embarrass the family by not being at church. Maybe if you didn't make such a big deal about it, it wouldn't be such a big deal. The grandchildren wondering where you were. Come on, they did not shut up. They want to get out of there too. And plus, you better never tell them what you think about religion. Okay, whatever. Let them discover it on their own. And anyway, couple things in chat. Zombie Teddy says feminists only like Islam because the whole religion supports their entire narrative. Without Islam, feminism has almost no purpose current year. Not sure that, you would say that Islam supports their entire narrative except as a way of saying, a victim complex, exactly. That
they can both be victims together. They can claim Islamophobia and patriarchy, oppression.
Right, exactly. So, and Faithless says Islam is equally cruel to everyone. I agree, but it's a special sort of cruelty to women. I agree. It actually enslaves the entire population. In terms of that, it's an equal opportunity cruelty thing.
I would be just as upset if my boys were telling me they were converting to Islam as I would be if I had daughters.
Yeah. Yep.
Because there's a different kind of servitude for the men.
Yeah. Maniac Man 2030, Michael Pronk, there is no medical reason for circumcision, just a flawed study from a third world country. Yeah, the reasons that are usually given for circumcision is there is some documented public health statistics about transmission AIDS and other sexually transmitted diseases, the relative facility of transmitting them, and cleanliness, hygiene, things like that. It's a you have to take care of yourself differently if you are circumcised or not circumcised. It's a little bit more maintenance to not be circumcised, but I also think that if you're going to cut somebody's genitals, they should have a say in it.
I would agree. Neither
and
one of our boys are circumcised. In fact, they don't do it for free anymore, up here at least.
Yeah.
It's $200 to get it done.
Yep, exactly.
And so we were like, no, there's no medical, there was no medical necessity for our boys to get circumcised. So we were like, no.
Yeah. So it's, the circumcision fans always seem to overstate the benefits of circumcision. And, the people who are against it tend to, have their own agenda. But
I find both sides equally hyperbolic, honestly.
I do too. That's why I just come down to, if you want it, you should have say in whether or not you get it.
Yeah.
And an infant can't do that. So, da-da. And if you want it later on, it should be available as a cosmetic thing. If you want big plastic tits, you can buy those. Why shouldn't you? Oh, okay. Why are we suddenly barking? There's sudden barking going on. Oh, okay. There's frustration. Let me have to see to this. What is going on here? Hey! Quit that.
Oh, blind girl, I didn't say circumcision wasn't medically necessary at all, ever. I was just saying it wasn't necessary for our two boys. I do know that there are some there are some boys who do actually medically require a circumcision, like if the foreskin doesn't separate, like you said.
Yep.
And
but there are other things that, sometimes there are abnormalities where, you can clean that up with a circumcision, and that's not what we're talking about.
No.
We're talking about generally. And so there you go.
So tell us about your new puppy. What kind of puppy is it? Have you figured it out?
It's we know it's a mutt, but it's mostly something. It's kind of like the Benji dog.
Oh, okay.
And I forget what that dog is called, and I should know because I'm sort of a dog person. But here, you want a puppy cam? We'll get the puppy cam going here. Hang on 1 second. Let me get it over because I didn't shave this morning, so I'm not going to do a cam on myself. But we will do the puppy cam. Stay up here. I'm trying to control the puppy and do this at the same time. It's not as easy as that, everybody. All right. Okay, and let's see. There we go. There is the puppy. And blind, if you want to, can you click on?
I'll share your.
Yeah, share my screen out. Just click on me down on the bottom.
Open menu for Skip Talk.
No. All you have to do is go to the Hangout.
Yep.
Go to the bottom right and click on where my icon is, down in the bottom right corner, next to yours. Click on that.
What about if I do screen share? No.
You'll share your screen.
I can't find the stupid thing.
That's okay. I'll talk. As long as I'm talking, I should be on screen.
Yeah.
But here's the puppy. Isn't she cute?
Can you guys see the puppy at all? Chat?
See, I
oh,
can't.
Yep, they said nice doggo.
Oh, all right, cool. So there's the pup.
We can see Skep without Blind having to do anything. Okay, good. Thank you, Krill. Thank you, Hawk Silk.
Yeah, as long as I'm talking, it should show the puppy who is getting interested in other things. So we're going to let her off cam, and we'll go back to the Skep icon.
It's a girl puppy.
It's a girl dog. Her name is Chloe.
Aw.
When she, we let them hang around, and they kind of name themselves. The kids had another name for it, but it wasn't the right name. And sometimes, names are funny. What was the name that they wanted? Oh, Fiona. And this dog is not a Fiona, but is definitely a Chloe. And I can't tell you how I know that. It's just, just petting.
Well, and also sometimes they won't answer to certain names, but they'll answer right away to.
That's interesting you should say that, because when I say Chloe, like right now, she just perked up and looked up at me. And she's starting to get a handle on her name. She's a bright little dog. She's very curious, happy, well-adjusted. She's going to get a lot of love here. I mean, being a dog in the Skeptalk family is like winning the lottery. Just, it's a good thing. Brenda and I are both dog people to the 10th power, and we've raised a lot of dogs and a lot of kids. We know we may not be rich, but there's a lot of love in this house. And we know how to, hand it out, and how to raise puppies, and how to do it kindly. We spoil them outrageously, and they love it, and they give us a lot of love back. So, I was initially.
It's definitely some type of poodle, says Chadwick.
Yeah, that's what I think, is that it's mostly poodle, and it could be part Benji dog. Does not have the big paws of a standard poodle. So if it is a poodle, I think it's toy. It does not have big paws that it's going to grow into. It's not going to be a big dog, but it's definitely has a poodle face and poodle snout, and poodle hair. So if it quacks like a poodle, might be a poodle. Who knows? Anyway, this too will happen. It has kind of a long tail for a poodle, and poodles.
Yeah, they do have short tails, don't they?
They do have short tails, and this one has kind of a long tail, so it makes me think there might have been a Maltese in the woodpile back there somewhere.
Yeah, somebody else in chat said looks Maltese.
Yep.
So maybe it's a Maltese and a poodle.
Yeah.
Cross.
A poodlese.
A poodlese, or a model.
A moodle.
A moodle, yes.
A moodle. Stop. The poodle is. We have a 2-year-old dachshund who just loves to play with this little puppy, and she's jumping on my foot with her claws, my bare foot with her claws. And,
ouch.
I just told him, knock it off.
I can't spell it, but the mini poodle is bitchin', says Blind Girl.
Yeah, the little mini poo. So she's just a fine little dog, good little companion. Still working on getting her house broken. Pretty indiscriminate.
Was she a rescue, or was like?
She was from she was on the way to a shelter. She was on the way to being abandoned.
Aww.
And somebody couldn't care for a puppy, and at least was doing the right thing, was going to take it to a shelter, and said, I thought it'd be fun to have a puppy. 2 weeks later, no, it's driving me crazy. So, and the dog has not been mistreated. Our other 2 dachshunds are from both from 2 different dead puppy mills where they were not well treated, and they come in, they're just shy, and it's painful, and you got to take it real slowly at first. and then they become like grateful, and they become so loyal. Oh my gosh, you just wouldn't even believe it. But this one is different, well adjusted. Hey, how you doing? Just very affable, outgoing, open. Come on, let's play. And the younger dachshund loves her. The 10-year-old dachshund is like, leave me alone. You have way too much energy. Get away from me.
Go play with the other one.
You kids fight it out. I'll be here eating.
Yeah. I'll be here eating all of your food. Haha.
That's just that. Actually, that happened this morning. Funny.
That's what Ninja does.
Jeez.
Ninja does that to poor Jordy. He'll eat both of the bowls of food, and then he'll be like, "What? There's no food. I'm hungry."
Yep. Hey, speaking of dogs, you know what? I need to pay attention to something. I'm gonna have to go. They're in a part of the house they're not supposed to. I didn't know it was open. I'm gonna be away for a minute. Okay, talk amongst yourself. It's okay. I'm sorry. I have to do this. I was not anticipating this. Hang on.
All good.
They'll get out. Hang on one sec.
Maniac Man says, I have a 15-year-old mini wiener dog, and he's a jerk. Aw. There we go. Bitchin' Frisay? See, Siri can't spell, neither can I. No, Siri can't spell. Siri sucks at spelling. Ninja, be quiet. Holy shit. Hold on, guys. Let me get Ninja out of here. Out you go. Okay. There we go. I hate trying to spell that. Oh, dachshund? Yeah. Oh, my grandmother has a pup that we've had for a while. She's at the point where she gets tired of everything. Then my sister got a puppy. Yeah, that'll help. En français, Blind Press. My cat's meowed at yours. Ninja, pay attention. My dog was just looking at the phone like, what's going on? Yeah, that's Ninja for you. Cats don't have owners, they have servants. This is very true. Very true. She hates the puppy, has too much energy for her. Oh, no. Dogs greater than cats. Sorry, but it's a fact. Well, you know what? You can't have a guide cat. So I'll give you that one. I swear, having puppies is like having kids sometimes. Although it is rather amusing when I hear people say, I want to practice having kids, so I got a puppy. It's like, I don't think it's quite the same thing, but so guys, did you hear? I was on Twitter over the weekend, and I saw something that there's actually a term for people who are like for two people who are in a relationship where one is disabled and one is sighted or one is able-bodied, and it's called interable. I am not joking. Puppy moms, always comical. Yes. Cats have more neutrons in their brains, suggest more intelligence. Huh. The guide cat would never go anywhere except to get food. True. Yes, interable blind girl. Interable.
Unbelievable. I've actually spent a lot of that time chasing the little dog, who is unbelievably quick. You don't realize. Calm down. Okay. Yes. Anyway, you have various spaces for them to go, and I fixed a little space for her outside so she could learn to go to the bathroom outside. I thought I had it blocked in, and then I realized she was in a part of the yard she's not supposed to be in, part of the yard where she could get out into the wild open spaces. So I had to dash out and take care of that. So anyway, all is well. She's sealed up inside now, and we should be good to go.
So yeah,
sorry about all that.
I'm just telling chat about the discovery I made over the weekend about the term interable.
Interable, is that the mixed relationship? Or?
Yes. This is.
Why is that a thing?
I don't know.
Why?
Because apparently we have to coin terms for every goddamn thing under the sun.
And who discriminates them against them and why?
I don't know, but apparently there's a bunch of people who, like, there's something about, people, the able-bodied people in interable relationships are unsung heroes. It's like,
really?
Fuck off.
Yeah, fuck right off. Yeah, unsung heroes. What bullshit is that? You love somebody, you accept them, with hi Kara, with everything that comes with them, every characteristic that comes with them. None of us are perfect, and we're all disabled in some way or another. It may be an obvious way, like being blind, or it may be a more subtle way through who we are, or the way we behave, or what we like, or whatever it happens to be. It makes us unique, makes us what we are. And no one ever enters into a long relationship with someone who is handicapped with the idea of being a hero.
No.
It just is not part of the equation. And that's a very, very dopey and superficial way to look at it, in my opinion. But you're going to get people.
Pinkalo's mother, right when we first started dating and she met me, right in front of me was like, why do you always have to go for the damsel in distress? Why do you always have to save people?
Man,
and he's like,
you're going to make a hell of a mother-in-law.
Pinkalo's like, I'm not with her because she's blind, Mom. No.
You caught me, Mom. I do it to piss you off. It's the only reason I do it. Controls all my relationships. You, Mom, you're in charge.
Mm-hmm. She's gotten better over the years, but it was a hell of a first impression. It's like,
Jesus. Maybe she's grown too.
It seems so. She had a bit of a thing when I was pregnant with our first, because she's like, you're gonna have to stop working so you can help her with the baby, and he's like, she raised her sister. Why do I need to do that? What the hell's wrong with you?
Right. If anybody's gonna help anybody, she's gonna help you. She's gonna help Pinkalo. That's funny. You know, people think that blind people are, they imagine themselves suddenly being blind and being cut off from all the visual input that they take for granted, and they think, I could not function. And you know, they're right. At first, you probably would be almost completely befuddled, but
Yeah.
you start to learn. You deal with what you need to deal with, and you begin to realize that although part of the world is cut off from you, there's a lot of the world that's not cut off from you.
In fact, some of it is opened to you because you're not distracted by what you can see.
It's absolutely true. Absolutely true. And so you go and you enjoy what you can of this world, the same as every other person, whether they can see or not, whether they can hear or not, whatever, whether they have arms and legs or not, any of the classical disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
The things that are called disabilities that, you're not supposed to call them disabilities anymore, but the uncomfortable truth is that they are disabilities, but they're only disabilities in as much as you allow them to disable you.
Yes.
And if you go at it with the attitude that, I'm going to do the things that I want to do, I'm going to try the things I want to try, find what I can do, find what works, and construct the reality of my life that way. When you take that attitude, it's really not a disability. It's a characteristic, but nothing more than that.
Exactly.
And so that's all you have to do. That it's invariably the best thing to do, but it's a lot of people never get there. Either the ones with disabilities or the people looking in from the outside who don't know, have no idea what it's like to do that.
Jesus Christ, blind girl, fuck that guy.
Oh wait, what are we?
My idiot ex separated from me when I went blind because he thought he would have to spend the rest of his life taking care of me. Yeah, you know what? You're better off without that piece of shit.
You know why? Because she would have spent the rest of her life taking care of
him. Yep.
Believe you me. No. That was a happy coincidence of your blindness.
Yep.
Getting rid of that loser.
Yep, seriously. For sure.
Seriously. Let's see. I swear that's how you find the love of your life. Meet the parents, and if you hate one of them, that's who you need to be with.
Yep.
Chadwick, that's rather cynical.
It's not wrong, though.
Hawk Silk says, Skep, I prefer the term that people hate. Cripple, lol. I don't give a fuck. It's just a word. And Blind Girl says, yep. And
I'm the same way. Like, I've actually been told by sighted people that I shouldn't say that I am blind. I should say visually impaired. And I'm like, but I don't have vision to be impaired.
Yeah, I'm visually differently abled. That rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Shit. It's so funny. We want to pretend. We want to use words to pretend. Don't use words to pretend. Use words to be precise, and your life will be happier. You may have to face things more directly than you're comfortable doing, but that's about you not being weak. That's let's see. Michael Pronk says, yes, it stops me from doing things, but I'll try to do them first to see what the real problems are before I give up.
You want skydiving?
Skydiving and do boxing, and the George Carlin handy capable. Yes, George Carlin called it handy capable. Yeah. I'm handy capable.
Yes.
That's better. No, I'm not crippled anymore. I'm handy capable.
Maniac Man says, I'd be kind of depressed if I went blind, but that's because I like pretty exploration type games. Oh, you're like you're the adventure type game type of guy. I see.
Hawk Silk says, hell, I have one arm. And in my almost 34 years, I've proved I'm just as capable or better at most things than, quote, in normal, end quote, people. Absolutely. One of my favorite people and guy who was a mentor to me was an engineer at a place called Viewstar, where I worked for a long time. Later became a company called Global 360. And there was a guy there. His name is Mike. And Mike always loved chemistry, chemicals, things like that. And he got to making explosives. And to make a long story short, when he was 14 years old, he was trying to make an explosive that would blow a trash can higher than the roof of his house.
Oh, dear.
He did that, but he also blew his left arm off and almost killed him. His mother came out to see what the noise was, saw him bleeding to death, put a tourniquet on his arm, and got him to the hospital.
Good for
where
her.
they finished the amputation of his ruined arm. And it caused a lot of other problems. I mean, he broke his leg. He was just a complete mess. Yeah. Mom saved his life. Well, Mike went on to get a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, Dean's List all the way through at MIT.
Wow.
And then he stuck around for his master's there, and he got double masters in mechanical engineering and mathematics.
Good for him.
And he, walks around with a prosthetic arm and is one of the leading lights in Silicon Valley, has more money than God, and, just consults on different projects now. That's the last thing I saw. And yeah, he's an amazing guy. He's kind, he's decent. He talks about how he lost his arm. He said kids always want to know. They always want to touch the prosthetic and see what's going on with that. And he's because he's financially capable, he has all kinds of interesting prosthetics, including some hilarious ones, and that he paid to have made just for shits and grins, like for Halloween.
Yeah.
And one with a cigarette lighter. I mean, all kinds of bullshit. It's really funny.
Faithless is asking, do I read or listen to many novels? At the moment, I'm not. But I need to catch up on my favorite series right now. It's co-authored by two men who are actually really good at. It's like a thriller bordering on horror type novel series about an FBI agent that solves particularly brutal serial murders. It's co-written by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. The series is known as the Agent Pendergast series. They're up to, I think, 14 books now. But that's my go-to right now, and I want to start looking into some of the Star Trek novels actually, because after we do some more of the two-parters and movies and stuff, I want to review a couple of books for the Star Trek streams.
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
So I'm looking into some of the Star Trek books that I can download from Audible or something like that.
When you decide on some titles, let me know so I can read them.
All right, I will. Will Honorless says I get one that comes off when I shake hands.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's you can. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do if you choose to just take a humorous look at life. Life is funny, and if you kind of make fun of the disability and tap into the funny side, what it will do is it makes people who don't have that disability feel more comfortable, and they will respond more normally. I would think that one of the big problems with having an obvious disability like blindness or missing a limb is people don't respond normally to you.
No,
They don't treat you like a regular person. They don't talk to you. They're gentle. They won't. A friend of mine, an old friend of mine, who I've since lost touch with, darn it, but he was blind, and he said people don't cuss around me. He says the weirdest thing, they will not say fuck, until I do. And then it becomes okay, but it's like they're treating me with kid gloves. Now that was like 40 years ago.
I can't tell you how many times that like I've accidentally tripped or walked into something, and people around me are almost in tears when they're asking me if I'm okay.
Oh yeah,
and I'm laughing because
yeah,
it's generally something that I know is there, and I just wasn't paying attention.
yeah.
And I'm just like, Jesus, why did I do that, right?
Yep.
And everyone's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. It's like, seriously.
It's an old physical humor gag, is walking into the lamppost and walking down the street with your head turned the wrong way, and you slam into a lamppost or something.
However, I did get offended in high school. I signed up. Actually, the reason I wasn't in the student-run variety show in high school in grade 9 was because I signed up for the drama section, and they wrote a part specifically for me. They wrote a blind person for me to play, and it was full of blind people walking into stuff jokes.
Oh, that was immature.
And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
It's that's
And they didn't understand. They're like, well, we were just trying to include you. And I'm like, well, no, that you want the blind person to play a stupid, bumbling, klutz blind person?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Only
That's
if
not
everybody else
funny.
in the plane is equally stupid and bumbling.
It's funny if the reason it's funny if a sighted person is doing it is because it's like it's really
unexpected.
It's unexpected. Yeah. It's expected for that. They're like, oh look, the blind person's playing a blind person, and the blind person is a fool.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh.
Most humor revolves around two principles. It is either unexpected or it shows the misfortune of somebody.
Yeah.
So something bad happening to somebody can be funny. It's especially funny if it's unexpected. Charlie Chaplin is going to cross the street. He steps down into what appears to be a puddle of water and sinks up to his neck instantly.
Yeah.
That's
funny.
Enormously funny. It was, just considered to be comic genius at the time it came out in 1915 or whenever that was, 1910, 1915. That was the height of the humor, and it's not different today. Chevy Chase tripping over stuff, playing Gerald Ford is or saying something unexpected. I'm Chevy Chase and you're not, or even Dana Carvey or whoever is popular. The humor's gone out of comedy. I mean, I've tried to watch like Lena Dunham, and you just go, what is wrong with you? Why can't you be funny? Even Sarah Silverman has stopped being funny, and she used to be funny.
She did.
And she's really not anymore. She's a humorless scold, and most of them are. And if it's they're just not, they have made off limits too much of the funny stuff. I think that's part of it. But the other thing is, it's just not okay to be funny anymore. It's not okay to make fun of anybody or anything, and that's a shame.
It is a shame.
Humans need that. So, anyway, how I do go on. That's what I think. And PC culture kills comedy. Fact. I agree, Maniac Man. I agree with you completely. And Faithless says, you watched Lena and didn't go blind too? Yeah, you're right. I hear you. And
That's funny.
Oh, it's blind girl says I screw with my friends in parking lots, pretend I'm going to walk in front of cars. Lol.
That's
Jesus,
hilarious.
that's just wrong. Blind. I think blind girl may be evil.
Well, you know, you got to be evil to get through life.
Kara Zering said someone I knew, when she got her leg amputated, her younger brother was doing something wrong, and she told me to behave or he'd get his leg amputated also. Jesus. I used to tell my kids that, you know, to be good, or I would bury them in back with their brothers and sisters. What brothers and sisters? Oh. They caught on to that pretty fast, unfortunately.
Well, what what was I gonna say just now? It was kind of amusing.
Something about brothers and sisters, or being bad, or threatening children.
Oh, right, threatening children.
Sure.
So it's I actually got mad at my my uncle because his daughter had pink eye.
Yeah.
And she was like 3 or 4 at the time, and she was being ridiculous about getting her eye drops, which, you know, she's 3 or 4, right? Kids don't like eye drops. So my uncle brilliantly decides to tell her if she doesn't take her eye drops, she's gonna go blind like me.
Nice.
So the poor girl was terrified of me for like years because she was afraid she was gonna go blind like me. Like, it's like,
you mean
thanks.
Like catching the blindness?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there, and he's usually a lot more intelligent than that.
Yeah.
So I was like, really? Why did you do that? Why did you have to use me to get her to, like, now she's like, she would run away from me and stuff for a long time. And it was like, thanks, man.
Really great work there.
Like, I know you just wanted her to take her eye drops, but like, seriously, next time, just deal with the 30 seconds of screaming and sit on the child.
All right. You gotta know when to just suck it up, and, you know, child's gonna get mad, deal with it.
Yep.
It's just part of growing up.
It used to be a 2-person job to get my sister to take her eye drops.
Oh, yes. I had a child like that. Just like that. Oh, Lordy. Yeah. It was my son just, you know, would not take anything that, you know, was not food that he liked, and he was like the pickiest eater on earth. Raising that kid was a trial. He's the one who turned into the Marine. Go anywhere, do anything, eat anything, you know, just very, very interesting young man. Very interesting young man.
My 2 kids, if you put them together, will eat one whole meal, because the youngest will eat meat and not vegetables. The oldest will eat vegetables and not meat.
Yep.
Unless it's ground beef, or as he calls it, ground moo.
Ground moo.
Yes, ground moo.
I like that. What would we do without dogs and children to amuse us?
Don't know.
You know, it's just people ask me in retirement. They say, you know, aren't you sad that, you know, you don't get to travel and don't get to, you know, go where you want to go, and, you know, you're stuck. You've got more kids to raise and all that stuff. I'm like, oh, yeah, that doesn't bother me.
Well, you did a whole bunch of traveling when you were a little younger, didn't you?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is I got that bug out of my system to a great extent, very definitely. You know, everywhere from Singapore to Europe. I never got to go to Africa. That's one thing that I would like to do. My wife, being a retired nurse, goes on these trips, these Nurses Without Borders
Mm.
things to Africa. She's been to Kenya, and she's going to go again this next year. And nurses in Kenya, you know what they are?
Mm.
Doctors. You are the doctor.
Wow.
Yeah. So she writes prescriptions and, sews up wounds and, just does all the doctor things. And it's people don't realize how the difference in medical care and how well trained nurses in the West are, and our daughter, who is a surgeon, goes over there, and she is just, stacked from the moment she gets in there. She's doing surgery, basically till she collapses, and then gets up the next morning and does that. And they do this for like 3 weeks and then come back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so anyway, it's interesting bunch. And her sister is a very experienced RN, and she goes over and she's, basically a primary care physician for the Kenyans also. So, and with Katie there to back them up, it's pretty good. But it's interesting. And they go over there with another doctor and his wife, who is a nurse. And that's the core of the skill part of the medical team. They have phlebotomists and other things who go along with them. But I don't know why I'm talking about this. I'm doxing myself. But it's a good thing. There are good people in the world who do stuff. One thing that Brenda commented on, I was talking about, I've been talking about this stream with her and talking about the stuff that I do, and she said, you wouldn't believe the number of blind people there are in Kenya. It's just a lot of blind
I've heard that. I've heard there's a lot of blindness
in Africa.
Like in Africa and in India as well.
Yeah, in India, I understand it's even worse. Sub-Saharan Africa, meaning the portion of Africa that's below the Sahara Desert, if you know where that is. So not in that line of countries like Algeria, Egypt, the line below that where you get into Mali, Congo, and
jungle countries,
Mozambique, and stuff like that. Yeah, jungle countries, exactly. All the way down, and then it comes to a grinding halt when you hit South Africa. And there's South Africa is like a Western country.
Yeah,
at very average levels of blindness, slightly below, in fact, average blindness. So, it's amazing what education and raising the standard of living, getting decent drinking water. There's just no decent drinking water, and they have to be careful when they go to. I probably need to get off this because I can talk about this for the entire stream about what they do over there, but I'll just tell very quickly about the drinking water. They have to be careful. Not just normal things like brushing teeth. You can't brush your teeth with the water over there. You'll get sick. You'll get dysentery.
Oof. But
you can't wash your hands in the local water and touch your hand to your mouth.
Wow.
Yes, the concentrations of pathogens, of pathogenic bacteria, are so high that and the normal population, they drink out of the river, out of the rivers. And it's just as bad as you think, and just for exactly the reasons you think. It's awful. So anyway, be happy you live here, and our lives are wonderful, and people might look at you blind and say, "Boy, what a shitty deal Blind Press got." You have it so much better than a sighted orphan in Mali, who is going to get pulled in, subjected to female genital mutilation and sold into sexual slavery. Great, but you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, that's the reality for a lot of women in the world. That's another thing, just to segue off into feminism. What should feminists really be complaining about? How about the way that women are subjected to subhuman treatment in at least 1/3 of the world?
Oh yeah.
You know,
And then we've got these stupid fucking commercials in the Western world that say, nobody knows what it's like for a woman in the third world except for a woman in any part of the world. Fuck you. No.
Yep.
We women in the West have no idea what it's like to be a woman in a third world country, because we women in the West can actually get into, and here's even just the simplest of things. We can get into arguments with our partners in general without worrying about dying.
Yes. Yeah. Dying. Think about that. You can be raised and not be worried that you're going to be married to an uncle of yours to be the sixth wife because he thinks you're going to be a hot slice in a few years.
Yeah.
Stop. It just, it's so sick. It's so wrong. You know, women are not
no idea
possessions.
what it's like, because we get not only is it free for us to go to school here, it's mandatory for everyone to go to school. Not just men, not just boys, not everyone. Whereas in the third world, oh, you're a woman? Oh, well, you know, we've got a few other boys who are in school, so you don't have to go to, you stay home. You stay home with your mom and you learn how to find food and work in the fields and stuff, because we've got some other kids that are going to be educated.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there are women who, they literally don't know how to count past 10.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand the system of numbers. They don't understand just basic life skills. They have no concept of what that means. And it's, I don't know, it's heartbreaking. Anyway, not meaning to turn this into a ain't it awful session, but if feminists wanted to do something if they wanted to throw themselves into a cause, why aren't they throwing themselves into that? Why aren't they arguing for the rights of those women who really are terribly, terribly oppressed?
And they do it and it's interesting to see that when they come over here, because they don't know any better, they continue the cycle. Like, there's a woman here. I believe they're from Africa. And her husband, she told me, her husband is blind. But she does, she has the kids out. I've never even seen her husband. And she said he doesn't go outside.
Wow.
And she's always so amazed at
go
me.
Outside. Yeah. Think about that for a moment.
And she's always amazed. She's like, I can't imagine, I can't believe, because my husband won't go outside, and I see you dropping your son off at school, and I've seen you sometimes drop him off, and I've seen you and she said this, I've seen you wear your baby like the Africans do.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's just so amazed because I drop my kids off at school, and it's like, well, I have to.
Yeah. So I'm just curious about wearing the baby. Do you wear the baby on the front?
I do them sometimes both. In the wintertime, I wear him on the front because it's hard to get him onto my back with both of our winter coats on.
Right.
So I usually just wear him on the front, but mostly but in the summertime, he goes right up on my back because it's easier that way. And I just throw him up in the backpack on my back, and we go to, I would take Alex to the park and all that stuff. But this summer, it's just going to be Alex and me because Logan will still be at daycare.
That's so much fun, though. God, and Blind, I'm telling you, just enjoy that time. it goes so fast. I can still remember the day, bringing home my son, my first baby, from the hospital, and he was the size of a football.
They're so little and they get so big so fast.
Oh yeah, he's a strapping 6-foot kid with looks like Grizzly Adams with red hair, strawberry blonde hair, just big, dominating kid. And he was just little, pudgy. That babies always look pudgy to me.
Yep.
Little ball of sunshine, and you think about all those times that there were a lot of hard times, especially with Mike early on. He was a colicky kid.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just had trouble sleeping through the night. Had trouble, cried a lot, and just he's kind of the kid that makes you believe in only children.
Yeah.
Just do we want to go through this again? But that was the only thing really that one of the only things after a while that my ex and I both enjoyed together was raising children. We both did enjoy raising little kids, especially, and getting them to the 10 or 11-year-old age.
Mm-hmm.
That period of time we had Andrea, and but it was one of those things that I remember talking with the marriage counselor when that marriage was breaking up. He said this is what happens when you grow apart like this. The kids grow old enough, they get some independence. They're not as dependent upon you anymore, and that last unifying thing falls apart. And he said, "No, you have, and he said, I just sometimes you got to just separate, not tear each other apart anymore."
Well, and kind of a shame. I often say this to people because I've come from a family that was split. My mom and my dad split when they split for good when I was 4. They had been trying to be together off and on. Mom came back we were living in Ottawa for a couple of years, and we came back because they were going to try again. And she also wanted me to be closer to my dad because it was really hard for him to greyhound up to see me every month. Okay. But I always say I would much rather, if I had to go through it again, I would take going back and forth to my different parents' house over listening to the screaming matches.
Oh yeah.
Hands down, I would take going to my dad's every other weekend over listening to them fight.
I can only imagine. But, it's people, look at it simply from the parent's point of view. I always hear who's that woman, the elderly Jewish lady, Dr. Laura.
Dr. Laura, yeah.
Yeah, and she always goes, you were such a scumbag. You couldn't you couldn't make it until they were 18. You're scum. You don't deserve to live. Okay. I'm scum. I don't deserve to live. You would be happy if I were dead. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, Laura.
Yeah, that's so helpful.
Yeah, that's so positive.
Because it's never both people's fault. It's only one person's fault.
It's only the guy's fault. Yeah. Because you want to go off and screw. No. Wasn't anything like that. Hardly.
Listen, Dr. Laura, stop projecting.
Stop projecting and understand.
Just because your husband fucked you around doesn't mean every husband's gonna fuck people around. Exactly,
and you have to understand that people are not all the same. For one thing, when your marriage is breaking up like that, unless you've got something going on the side, which that's wrong. That's a different story. unless you got, when your marriage is breaking up like that, you have no sex drive.
No.
That is the farthest thing from your mind, is being intimate. All you want to do is be away from everything. You just want the screaming to stop.
Yeah.
And especially the screaming that is taking place between your ears.
Yes.
And if you can't get relief to that, and or are guilted into it, that's when people commit suicide. And she has come on and said that that's actually a preferable thing to ending a relationship.
Yeah,
It would
this
be
is
better.
why I don't like
It's
Dr.
better for the
Laura.
children. And I'm kind of like, really? Is that really better for the kids?
Better for the kids, for their parent to kill themselves than to leave and be happy.
Yep.
And to teach the children what being happy is. You'd rather them be modeled a completely unhealthy relationship so that they can continue that cycle when they grow up.
Yep.
That's brilliant.
Yep. A dear and deeply close friend of mine, one of my very closest friends, was married, had 2 kids. The kids were 10 and 8, and he just got crossways with his wife. They couldn't get it back together, and he got a divorce. And she kept on with him, but the guilt over and over and over. He had moved out. He was living in Seattle, and that's where the family was. He moved to Texas. He was living in Austin, and but she kept on just hammering. He finally put a gun in his mouth and killed himself. And she came down and she said, "Oh, look what this other evil woman had done." The woman he took up with a year after he divorced his wife. It's just amazing, the fantasy that we will sell ourselves.
Pincalo says, I miss Dr. Ruth. She always had good things to say.
I miss Dr. Ruth too. Is Dr. Ruth still alive?
I don't know.
Dr. Ruth. Let's see. Dr. Ruth Westheimer is still alive. She is 90 years old. She was born in Karlstadt am Main in Germany. Her height is, how tall do you think? Wow, this is interesting. How tall do you think Dr. Ruth is? I am surprised. I'm absolutely shocked.
She's probably I would say probably, I'm just trying to imagine her voice and everything. I would say,
yeah.
I would say she's probably maybe 5'4", like a stout.
Yeah, that's
German lady.
I was thinking that she would be a tall lady, like 5'8", 5'10", that in kind of a big frame, because she's got a very, very profound voice, very big voice. She is 4'7".
Oh wow!
She's practically tiny. A hobbit.
She's tiny.
Little thing, yeah. Funny, with just a smile that never seems to go away. I'm with you. I like Dr. Ruth. She's pretty wonderful. So yeah, she was born June 4th, 1928. She was a German-born Jewish immigrant to the United States. Became a fixture in late-night talk and pop culture as a sex therapist, media personality, and author. So
Dr. Ruth is pretty cool.
I would agree with you. I would agree. So,
well, guys, it's 11:45.
Right.
And I've got some food to eat and some tidying up to do. So I think we will wrap it up where we leave it here. So thanks for coming out, guys, and be sure to tune in tomorrow. I know that Gunfox has left a whole crap ton of stuff in the newsroom in the Discord, so there'll be plenty for us to find.
We need to read through. Yeah, post your stuff to Blind Press Reads on Twitter, and we welcome any and all submissions.
Yeah.
No matter how strange, no matter how weird, even the humorous stuff. You want to troll the onion and get the particularly good stuff off there and throw us a link. I love reading all that stuff, and I will go through it. And we didn't really get to the much news today. I mean, there is news out there. I just didn't really, it tends to be, it's like Flynn's sentencing and all that kind of stuff, and it, it's kind of it doesn't have general appeal. It doesn't have the a lot of broad appeal, although a lot of people are interested in what happens to General Flynn, and I am hopeful that Trump will pardon him, but that's just my take on it. But we can talk about that and other things tomorrow and later this week. I promise not to miss any more streams. I don't care if the puppy keeps me up all night. I will just redouble the coffee.
You'll mainline some coffee and you'll be good.
I actually have set a because the stream starts at 9 o'clock my time. Right. I actually have set an alarm in my living room. It goes off half an hour before the stream, and there's only one reason that would go off, and it will remind me of the stream. So,
well, that works.
I really won't. I won't miss this anymore. I don't think, unless there's an emergency. I am terribly sorry about my absence yesterday, but we go forward. We look forward, not back. And exactly. Thank you, chat, for coming out. You are a big part of this stream. We interact with chat, I think, on this stream more than any other stream I've ever seen. That's the honest to God truth. And that's because we value you. We care about you. We're interested in what you have to say, and we want you to be a part of what it is we do. So with that, Blind, you want to take us out?
I do. Thank you guys for coming out. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 Eastern, 9 Central for another edition. And hope everyone has an amazing day. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay safe, everyone.
Be careful out there.